So we've said a number of times that traditional feedstocks are petroleum-based, that we understand that there are issues with petroleum-based feedstocks in terms of depletion, a finite resource. Many of them are linked to particular types of toxics that are inherent in those feedstocks. And there's a significant area of development in green chemistry around the use of renewable feedstocks, alternative feedstocks that might not have the same challenges as petroleum. Right? What I'd like to do is just show you a few things at the cutting edge that have been really accomplished and recognized through the Presidential Green Chemistry Challenge Awards. And Richard Wool is a professor down at the University of Delaware. Anybody here a blue hen? No, okay. The University of Delaware, and we've collaborated with Professor Wool on a number of things, but he is just a tremendously creative chemical engineer. And one of the things that he's developed is a whole new series of composites, bio-based composites. And you see it's derived from everything from flax, vegetable oils, lignin, cellulose, and chicken feathers. Chicken feathers? Really? Chicken feathers. So one of the things that he's designed these composites for wide ranges of materials, wide ranges of applications. For instance, has he put these composites into hurricane-resistant housing and had them demonstrated out at down after Katrina? Yes. Has he used these composites for large wind turbines that need the kind of strength and flexibility that are about a football field long, some of these giant propellers? Yes. But the one that I actually really like is when he put it in and used it as a replacement for, or alternative feedstock for a silicon chip. And let's say, you're making computer chips out of chicken feathers. I said, yeah, because the nanostructures and the sizing of the chicken feathers actually had, at the time it was conducted, a higher clock speed than the Intel chip that it was replacing. So it is not, we always return to this. It's not just about using green chemistry or alternative material to do things that either the same or a little bit worse and you have to sacrifice. It's how do you get higher performance by using these alternative processes. So yes, does it consume less water and energy and produce less waste? Yeah, but it's about the performance of these new composites. I should say that all of these that I'm going to be discussing today are able to be found on the Presidential Green Chemistry Challenge Award website run by the EPA. All right. Then there's Jeff Coates, another good green chemist who is recognized, and he's made a whole series of new polymers. His feedstock was carbon dioxide. Okay, so we know that polycarbonate, of course in its name, carbonate, has CO2 in its backbone. So he has found ways of intercalating, reacting, and getting the CO2. Can also do it with carbon monoxide because of the catalyst that he's invented to be intercalated there. So why do we care about this? Why is this such a good thing to use CO2 as a feedstock for polymers? There's plenty of CO2. So here's the thing, a lot of chemical products are feedstock driven. The major part of the cost for a wide range of especially high volume materials, the cost of the feedstock is what's going to drive the price of the product, and many, many different types of commodity products. So if you take something that is not only a waste, so maybe it's zero cost, but now people are paying to get rid of it, to capture it, et cetera, then all of a sudden, that becomes a really good economic equation. Now, it's easy to start asking the cascading questions of, well, how do you get that feedstock? Is it really coming out as pure CO2, or do I have to separate it from other gases, and what kind of energy do I have? So there's a lot of questions that need to be asked. Bioamber. This is another ability to make a bio-based material, bio-based feedstock to make succinic acid. Succinic acid is because it's one of those so-called platform chemicals that a lot of people might not care about succinic acid itself, but instead it's what you can make from succinic acid. We talk about not even genetically engineering or making things from bioorganism. This is a modified E. coli catalyst. We could go into a lot of the fact that, most of these bio-based processes are taking place in water rather than using organic solvents and all of the issues associated with that. But I wanted to point out that this method for producing succinic acid costs 40% less than the traditional petroleum-based route and consumes 60% less energy. Okay. Again, you're going to hear me say this 1,000 times until you're driven crazy. Green chemistry must not be, it's going to cost you a little bit more and it's going to perform a little bit less. This needs to always show those advantages. Genomatica, another example of a building block chemical. This chemical is essential to the Olympics. Why is it essential? The Olympics could not be held today without BDO. Why? Because it's used in making spandex. The Olympics can't be held without spandex. We know that. I watch the Winter Olympics. I see speed skating. Anyhow, I also wanted to point out again, consumes 60% less energy and has a 70% smaller carbon footprint. And the cost is projected to be 15 to 30% less than the petroleum-based manufacturer. I just tossed this one in there because instead of just talking about chemical building blocks, here's an example of Patel that is making a printer toner. So you say, do they make any consumer products? Yeah, so here it's over printer toner. Who knew that 400 million pounds of printer toner were used every year? I sure didn't. But if it gets 25% market penetration, it's looking at 360,000 tons of CO2 reduction a year. This is not only a naturally based pesticide, but it's also 1,000 times less toxic to humans and 44 times less toxic than the two common pesticides that are used currently. And it's effective at 10 to 34 times smaller application rate, and is expected to replace 1.8 million pounds of organophosphates.